Hi guys, and good morning. It is Friday the 19th of March 2021. It is 8:59. I must admit, although I kind of aimed to start doing these at 9 o'clock, I found myself that I was just hanging around, so I thought, sorry, I'm just going to start early. But likewise, just proved that this is genuinely live, and you'll see the time kind of clock over. So my name is Steve Pugh, if we don't know each other. I'm a management consultant. People hire me to make kind of real change in their business. I'm a chartered mechanical engineer by trade, and I've been a kind of managing director and sales director and business development and that kind of thing all the way through my career. Recently, I launched something called the Roadmap MBA business course, which is all about making real world business education accessible. It comes in a textbook which looks something a little bit like this, and it's a mixture between online and offline learning to do with how to make real impact in your business and career, and actually to learn a lot of the stuff that it's often quite difficult to learn elsewhere, and it's all in one place. It's all super easy and that kind of thing. But one of the things that we do on the course, and for me it was one of the USPs, is that yes, there are hundreds of business books out there on marketing and sales and strategy and stuff. And yes, again, there are different training courses that you can go on to actually kind of learn sales and do a really intensive kind of one-day session. But the one thing that it kind of missed for me was actually the ability to ask questions, to actually say, look, I get the theory on how you do business development, but how do you do it? You know, and actually it's the interaction, being able to actually ask questions for a full 12 months to basically help you make that change. And one of the other things which has also been really interesting is just, it's learning that I always knew that people have busy diaries. So likewise, when you try and structure regular sessions at a set time through the week, it could be to your childcare commitments or meetings, or stuff just lands and you can't do that. So the idea with this is that people send me in questions 24 hours a day from all around the world actually. And what I do is I pick up the main ones. I answer them generally quite directly to the person on LinkedIn or WhatsApp or whatever. But then actually I kind of bring it together, do a live stream Q&A, which is what this is. You can comment in the feature, and Simon, thank you for the comment as always. But yeah, you can chat and it should pop up on the screen. It's a great way to ask questions. And yeah, so I try and do this once a week, and it's a way for anyone on the course to actually just pick my brains and just add the extra level of depth to what is hopefully a very good, credible business education course to help people move forward. If it's not for you, just click on, I apologize for interrupting your feed, but hopefully, this is good for a lot of people. And today's questions are, and actually with Simon, I'm going to add in yours as well, is basically business development. Where do I start? So this is a classic thing that a lot of business owners want to grow sales and they want to grow the company. But actually, in terms of business development, what is it? Where do I start? Who do I approach? How do I approach them? It's not always easy to learn. So I'm going to cover that this morning. Hopefully that'll be quite interesting. One which actually came in yesterday is more of an observation, but I think it's a really important life kind of lesson or career lesson, is how not to ruin an interview in one statement. This happened yesterday, and it's just, not for me personally, but within the kind of network. And I think it was just something that I think is really important to kind of share. I got asked the question actually yesterday, no it wasn't, it was Tuesday, from one of the new members on the course, and rightly so. They said to me in the blurb on the website, it says the ability to make a real impact quickly. So actually I'm going to touch on that one as well, and that's all about understanding where you're actually at and how you solve your particular biggest issue or pain point first rather than everything else. But the trick with that one is actually understanding what it is. The fourth is actually the difference between building your business and maintaining your business. But Simon, because he's watching and sent in he sent me an email last night, I'm going to cover yours first, Simon. And basically Simon wanted to actually pitch a new business idea. It was an idea that he's had, and he wants to know, and apologies because it came in late last night, I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing, almost what is the best thing to do? Is this idea viable? And this is true for a lot of people. So one of the things that I'm going to, although Simon isn't live in terms of on a guest, sometimes I have guests on this, and actually I've invited some more people that hopefully will happen more and more. But what we'll do is almost talk through people's ideas and goals and challenges live, and this is people on the course, with the idea being that yes, they get to plug what they do a little bit, which is great, but actually when you can see and hear from other people probably in a similar position to yourself, I think that'll be really valuable. And it's one of the things that we try and do, but likewise working around different people's diaries, they will adapt to suit, but you know, it is what it is. But Simon, in terms of your business idea and what it is, one thing, if you get to your textbook, I know you're not live on the chat, but you know, you can see it right at the start of the course. It's actually in the one of the earlier modules, is page 12. There we go, Simon. So go to page 12. And basically what this is, it's on a double page spread. It's all the things to consider on if you want to start a business. And the reason why I think this is especially important for Simon, but it's actually true to everyone, there are 27 questions to ask, which is basically all about what is it you want to do, why, what is it you're not happy with about the current solution, and basically it's a whole list of questions. And actually, if you go through them one by one, and you know, on the website, because you know you've got access because you're like a member of the course, copy and paste it into a Word document and actually answer them one by one. And as you go through to really understand what is it you want to do, why do you think you can do it better than anyone else? What's the niche in the market that's not currently being solved? And then even down to what is your selling point? Why is that the right selling point? What are your costs? I'm really trying to do that thing. And basically, if you go through all 27 steps, which you can either do either here or on the website, that is the basis of a business plan, or at least a very short kind of business plan. But I think if you can answer those, it's a great way for them to have a further conversation about the business. So Simon, I hope that helps. But actually, I do think that's the best thing to do, at least in the short term, to get a feel for what you should do next, if that makes sense. And likewise, as I've offered before, you know, happy to get you on. We'll actually have maybe next week we'll do a proper live Q&A where we can talk through the initiative and what you want to do, because I really like it. I think it's cool. So I am going to get a quick cup of coffee. If you would like to send any questions, please do it. And then if not, I'm going to jump on to the first one. Okay, so the first question for this week is business development. Where do I start? And this is funny because a lot of people, and again, me when I started my career kind of in sales, you can understand the product, which is one of the most important things to do, and really kind of know everything about your own product and what it is, so that when you talk to someone else about it, you can actually knowledgeably talk on the topic. One of the other really important things is actually understand your clients and what their pain points are, and I'll touch on that, but also understand your competitor's position. And you know, that's all the kind of the basics of what you're at before you start to pick up the phone. No worries, Simon. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yes, so basically the first things you want to do when you're looking at business development, the most important thing for me, as well as all the background and stuff to really understand your market and who you are and what you're trying to offer, is actually understand who you're trying to target. So in one of my customers is a graffiti removal business based out of Stockton-on-Tees. Really great company, love the team, love everything that they do. And actually a few of the questions today have kind of come from them. But basically they wanted to know, well, actually, look, if we want to do a big sales push for the business, where do we start? So the first thing that I would say to anyone is actually develop a list. And I quite literally mean a list. If you sell a generic product, one of the things that I've mentioned in the past is actually there's a great tip to download your LinkedIn contacts into a spreadsheet. You can sort it in terms of decision maker or people that you want to target versus people you're not interested in. And then actually turn it into a spreadsheet so that you've got a list. And I have a list of 6,000 decision makers from my kind of 18,000 connections. And that's the thing that when I'm ready to and when I want to, I quite literally start and start to go through my sales approach. So that's part of my business development. But in the interest of the graffiti removal business in Stockton, some of their clients are local authorities. And so step one would be get a list of every local authority in the UK. Next, it would be look at actually who's the correct person to contact within each local authority. So it might be a maintenance manager, it could be facilities, it could be whoever, but obviously it's your job to kind of find that out. And then instantly you've got a list of all of the organizations that you actually need to target or want to target. You actually have the name of the person, and that's like step one. So that's the really important thing. Actually, I'm going to draw this out. So business development, number one, is who. So this again is actually quite literally making a list of everyone that you want to target, maybe within the next year for your business. The reason why it's really important to make a list is because one of the hardest things in sales is actually to track progress. So actually, if you have a spreadsheet, it's what I recommend, or you've got a CRM, somewhere where you can visually see them all. If you have obviously all the columns of different people, as you work through them, you can tick them off. And one of the things that, we always say to business owners or anyone who wants to track their kind of performance, it's all about something called lead action. So it's the amount of approaches that you make. And this is something and a great way to demonstrate that you never know who is ready to buy at any one time. But what you can do is demonstrate, look, I've approached 100 people this week. And as long as you, for one, know who you're going to target and actually go through it. There's also a sales tracker spreadsheet on the website, which is free. If you put in the code, I think it's still COVID-19 to download it for free. And what it also does is tell you the date since you last contacted them. And then over between 0 and 180 days, it goes green to red. And basically, if your things start to go red, it's a conditionally formatted kind of column. It's that reminder to then follow up through the list. And if these are your main kind of target market, that's the first thing to do, and work through a list. The next is how. So this is how do you actually contact them? The most important thing to think of here is for your target customer. So it could be the facilities manager in a council, in the graffiti example. It's how do they most want to be approached? So a lot of people don't like email. It's very it's very nice, it's very easy for the salesperson to send out LinkedIn messages and emails because it's almost a step removed. It's always harder to almost pick up the phone. But the important thing is to actually, how does your target customer like to be approached? How do they like to do business? So this could be phone, email, LinkedIn, meeting. What will probably happen, because again, sales is a numbers game, is that you have to do your sales funnel where you basically do a lot of approaches to then have it work through, and it will gradually kind of drop down. So you might have to do 100 of these to get 10 meetings. But the point is, you've got your structure of how you like to do it. And the trick, or the failure that a lot of people do, they only promote in the way that they're comfortable, not in the way that their target customer likes to do business. And that's a really important thing. And then the last one, what? And this is basically it's what I call the chatter plan. So in any business, in any form of kind of sales, it's the classic question you get asked all the time. What do you say? How do you pitch yourself in terms of your product or service? And actually doing this really well. What was interesting in the interview I did yesterday with David Smallman was actually to do with, he feels he's very good at closing, and it is a different kind of skill. But the way that I treat this is almost that if you were trying to chat someone up in a bar, it's the classic example of if you approach a guy or a girl and give it your best shot. If you completely mess it up, you can't go back to that same person half an hour later or the next week and try it again. It's just not going to work. You'd have to wait, say, 6 months before you kind of try again. With sales, it's exactly the same. So it's almost a case where if you have you need to perfect the chat-up line before you approach them. And this is where it all gets down to, have I got room on the screen? Yeah. All about understanding the customer. And this again is something we talk about all the time, and it's all about understanding the customer's pain points. So again, in the graffiti example, excuse me, if you now have a list of all of your local authorities in the country, you know who you're trying to target. So if you ring their switchboard and you ask to get put through to facilities or building management or whoever, find out who those people are. But then the trick is, it's having a good chat-up line and a good sales approach, which for one has to be short, because if it's too long, nobody's going to read it. It has to be friendly, so that you wouldn't mind receiving it. You're not going to offend anyone, but you have to cut right to the heart of the pain point that your prospective customer has so that you can solve it. So for instance, again, in the graffiti example, you could say, "Hi Dave, I believe that you might have an issue with graffiti removal in the city centre and it takes up a lot of your time. We've got something that can help save you time and energy and therefore save you costs. Can we have a chat?" And again, something we talk about in the book is actually how you want to give enough to get them interested, but you never want to tell them too much that they can give a definitive no. The idea is that you demonstrate knowledge and expertise on the topic so you understand the customer, you understand what they're dealing with. And then the classic thing is as well, is that if that person genuinely has a problem with graffiti removal, but it could be business growth consultancy, it could be marketing, it could be legal services or employee tribunals or whatever it is. The point is, if you understand the pain of the customer and they genuinely have that need at the moment, they'll pick up the phone. And basically this is the main basis around business development, that you just repeat this cycle and you keep looking at how you put more businesses into the top of the sausage machine, as Peter likes to call it. And it's this process to constantly improve your understanding of your own offer, your competitors' offer, the market for in the book we call it winning in the customer's world. So for instance, it doesn't matter what you want and what you want to sell. The only thing that actually matters is for the customer, what are they struggling with and how can you fix it? And then business development is this again and again and again. And then it's great ways to get yourself across as well. So one of my other customers is a company called Western Recruitment, who very kindly, again, give me this office. Really great business, great team. They actually use a video tool called Odro, which is a great way to do video approaches to clients. And again, getting your personality across and who you are and what you do will really help in your approach. But I would still say, even if you send someone a video message, you still actually want to keep it nice and short and sweet, but really get right to the heart of understanding the customer, demonstrating that you understand their pain points, and then offering them a potential solution to fix it. But the trick is, don't tell them up front what the solution is. The idea is that you want to get from that initial approach to either a phone call or meeting. And in the phone call or meeting, you want to ask something called discovery questions, basically learn as much as you possibly can about the customer, how they do business, what their plans are, how they work, what have they tried in the past. And again, there's a whole section on sales kind of qualifying in the book and in the course for you to do. But it's that process, and then you repeat that. And that's basically, yes, that's business development. So on 9:16, I'm going to call that one quits and then move on to the next one. Okay. So at some point or another, we have all been in job interviews. It's always a funny one because people want to know about you and they want to know about your passions and your skill sets and what you're good at. And they're looking if you're a good cultural fit for a company, particularly their company, to really kind of see if there's a good fit there between you and them. One of the questions which often comes up is actually, why do you want to leave your current employer? And one of the biggest cardinal sins that you can ever do is slag them off. It's say, look, it's okay to say, look, it wasn't the right cultural fit for me. And it's to phrase it in a nice way. But if you come across as almost quite, not aggressive, but showing an open disregard for the former employee, no matter how bad they were, the issue is that leaves a bad taste and a bad worry in the new prospective interviewer who's basically interviewing you, to really understand, well, will I say that about you? And it says what about your character and stuff as well. So for me, the number one way to ruin an interview is actually to openly criticize a former employer, even if it's like, you're passionate about it and, maybe you got screwed over or whatever. But if you can, don't do it. Temper it down. It's the one thing, almost more than anything else, which could really kill an interview. Happened yesterday, and it was something that I just wanted to share because actually it might be that one thing. Someone's got a job interview today. Don't do it. Do not openly criticize your former employer. You can dance around it. You can flavor it up, but don't be too brutal, because what it does is just plant that seed in the mind of the interviewer that actually, is this person a nice person? Will they do it to us? And actually, you need to always show concern and understanding that, you know, business is a game, you need to play the game. And likewise, you know, you might have a different viewpoint to someone else, and hence why you want to move on, but you really don't want to take that baggage with you. So I'm going to leave that one there. Next, I'm going to jump on to number 3, which is actually to do with the question about how can I make an impact quickly. One of the things that I kind of pride myself on is almost so I am a chartered engineer, and, you know, I'm quite academic in a lot of ways, but I'm very good at solving problems. And one of the things almost from my kind of career and the different ranges of experience is actually being able to get to the crux of a problem quite quickly in a way that you can then hopefully solve it for other people. And with the course, that's something we like to do. And this is almost where it's very difficult to do it to yourself unless, you know, you've got quite a lot of experience. So in terms of Andy's question about how can I make an impact quickly? So this is true in any business. There won't be a single business owner in the world that doesn't want to make positive improvements quickly. It's like the number one. The trick is you need to know actually where your problems are before you can fix it. So I'm actually going to do this in reverse, because I'm going to do it in reverse because actually this is where most people go wrong. So the first one that people are always looking for is sales. Everyone's like, how can we sell more? We need to sell more. We need to make more money. And when you're looking to make an impact quickly and make that change, it could be that sales is your problem. But there's so much to do to solve and to really understand before you start to tackle this, that I'm going to paint the whole picture for you. And a prime example is, I don't know how many nautical engineers you have out there, but a propeller, if you know it goes at the back of a boat and it spins round, a propeller is there to push a ship forward. And that's what it does, that's what its function is. But actually propellers are designed to run at a certain speed. And if you take the same propeller and spin it twice as fast, it actually gets less efficient. And the reason, I won't go into the technical reason why that happens, but the idea is there are more things at play that likewise in this instance for a business, if you simply look to do more activity of the same thing, it can be the same as trying to spin the same propeller faster, that actually you get nowhere. And there's certain things that you want to look at before that to really kind of understand where you're at and actually what's the best way to make an impact quickly. So the next thing to look at is your marketing. So marketing falls into lots of different ways, and actually it's one of the hardest things to almost explain in some ways, because a lot of people see marketing just as trade shows, social media, and blog posts and live streams, when actually that is part of it, and that falls into something called tactics, which again we talk about in the course. But actually the strategy behind it, one of the most important things, and I mentioned it just before, it's all about understanding the customer and their pain points. And this again is one of the most important things that you need to do. A lot of people might have the sales approach and the sales activities, and that could be in terms of how many times to pick up the phone. But if they don't understand the customer in terms of their wants and needs, their sales approach won't be as good. And then because of this, you're going to get less efficient. But the one thing that most people also miss is the strategy. And in the course, we have 3 modules on business strategy. And this is to help you understand everything about your business. What is it? How does it work? What's its cash position? What USPs does it have in the market? Why is it different, etc.? Because actually in all of these, I'm going to draw it lazily. So they're meant to be hurdles. I was going to draw them out in more detail, but you'll get bored. The idea is that you start here. The first thing you need to do is get your strategy right. If you can genuinely look, say in the interest of the graffiti business, if you properly understand who you are, what you do, how it works, and why you're fundamentally better than your competitors, why you can make more money, you've got a better, more profitable business model, that's really important. The next one is understanding the customer. Really understand the customer, what are their needs, what are their wants, what are their desires. So actually, you've got the business model, which provides the foundation. then actually you have the understanding of the customer and actually the mechanisms to raise general awareness on your service and what you do. Because again, a big thing that people can't buy your stuff if they don't know who you are. And likewise, it's the what you say is so important. It's the classic chatter plan example again. You really want to kind of get this right, and then you want to go to sales. So sales is your engine. The point of this kind of diagram when you're trying to make an impact quickly, it's to really understand yourself and your customer before you try and do it quicker, because it could be that you have great salespeople, you've got a great marketing team, but there's something fundamentally wrong in how the business is structured, even down to the payment terms that you offer or your products fit in the market, that you get that right and the rest will run through. And the trick is being able to actually assess quickly where you're at in terms of a business to then make the change. In terms of business owners, and one of the things that I like to do when I do consultancy work for different people, so on page 199, it's called a one-day business turnaround. But basically, these are the questions that I use when I do consultancy with different people. And the idea is it gives you a real good snapshot on the business, what it does, its seasonality of its products, to really then hone down to understand if the strategy is in the right place. The marketing is generally public that you can then look at, but it's really important to solve the first bit first before you then jump into other stuff. So hopefully that helps. And Andy, if you've got any questions, just give me a shout as always. But when we're looking about how we make an impact quickly with yourselves, this is the kind of process we'll go through, and the textbook and all the videos and stuff online will hopefully help in that process. Okay. Next one. It's good fun, this. 9:25. So the next question is something that actually I think is more common than people would probably talk about. That 99% of businesses are SMEs. A huge percentage of that are micro businesses, freelancers, and people, I guess, like myself, that have a business and offer. And the challenge you always have is, how do you balance working as, it's such a cliche and I hate it in some ways, but working in your business to, get things done and make money, and then working on your business. And for me, there's a crucial change in this. So how did I phrase it? Yeah. So it's building versus maintaining your business. It's the classic conundrum that there's different ways actually to think about it, because again, it's different for almost every different business. Every business by its very nature has to make money, and they often make money through doing a product or a service and delivering it to a customer. So in terms of maintaining your business, and this is almost where you're at in terms of just keeping it going, I'm going to I'll pick a freelancer. So to maintain your business, this is where you probably spend a huge amount of your time just doing work for other people. And the truth is, most people, I think, probably spend 90%, if not more, of their time as a freelancer doing work for other people, because that's what pays the bills. And in theory, their business, that's what it is, and that pays for their lifestyle, that kind of thing. But the one thing that I think this often causes some issues is that many people start a business because they're passionate about the topic and they want to live a certain dream and do certain things, that it's very easy to set up on your own, start working for other people, and you're working really, really, really hard, but you feel like you're not progressing and your business isn't progressing. And it's often because you're trying to really over deliver and deliver a great service just to stand still. But the issue you've got is that you're just maintaining what you have. So if you were to draw a graph, maintaining is just staying the same. And actually, if anything, you're probably going to get tired, you're going to burn out at certain points. The trick is to then allocate on purpose a certain amount of time per week to actually purposely work on your own stuff. So for me, it's when I do my live streams and interviews, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And it's to balance the work between having the customers and having enough customers that provide you the income you need to survive, to pay bills, etc. It can often be tempting to take on more customers, which allows you to, in theory, just maintain at a high level. But the issue you have with that is that you're just building a bigger monster that you have to feed, and actually you can then burn out. I think the trick for me is to work on it's to always make time to work on your own stuff. So for instance, for me, it was the creation and launch of the Roadmap MBA. And then actually, as I do my client work, which probably takes up 80% of my time through the week, I always try and make time to do my own stuff. So you got 80% client, and then it could be on evenings or weekends. Actually, mostly it is evenings and weekends, but again, it's Friday morning kind of now. I just start to work on building my own stuff. And the idea is that if you have a good business model, which is scalable and you kind of know what you're doing, even just these little 10%, these hours a week, even if you allocated 1 or 2 hours a week to properly focus on yourself, improving your own branding and your own stuff to help build towards the dream, you will get so much further, to the point where actually you might get this big enough that you can do less of that and maybe drop that to 40%, which allows you more time to do more of the stuff that you really want. I think it's often it's too easy to fall into the trap of just being what I call bad busy, where you're just busy all the time for other people and not making time for yourself. Because one of the classic things for any kind of Harry Potter fans out there, in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which was the spin-off, there was a character, and I can't remember what it was called, but it expands or contracts to fill the space that it's in. And what's quite funny is that your client work, whether you let it or not, will expand to fill your time. And not every client appreciates it. My point is that it's to find the right point where you deliver the service that you say you will, you deliver a great service, but you need to know when to say stop or to say no, to always allocate time for your own stuff. Because if you don't, you'll end up just flatlining and then eventually get bored, or you'll get tired and frustrated and kind of give up. So always kind of make time for yourself. If you've got any questions about how to do that, and again, it depends on your passions and what you do, but it's really important. Again, it's something we touch on in the book, that even in the first module, when we're looking at how your aims and goals and ambitions, what is it you're actually trying to achieve? Always balance the two, because if you leave it unchecked, the client work will take over. And actually, it's just having the conscious awareness to, look after yourself and do what's right for you, because in essence, that's why you started the business in the first place. And actually, your clients will probably respect that, because it means that you'll be in it for longer. And actually, if you stay passionate and hungry about what you're kind of all about, they'll probably want to keep working with you. So that takes us to 9:32. I found that these seem to be quite good at half-an-hour kind of sessions, which is also quite good. This is also quite daunting. It's always difficult to get up and do your own thing, but I have been told that people really kind of find value in this. I clip them all up, they go onto YouTube, and then I send the answers back to different people. And the hope is that some of these different areas might just give a little bit of knowledge or inspiration to people that either need it now or might need it in the future. And it's there as a resource for anyone on the team, on the course, to kind of ask questions and stuff. My name's Steve. Feel free to drop me a message on LinkedIn anytime. I will always happily answer it. For people on the course, every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, 3 till 5, I have sessions which you can book into, which is a private one-to-one session, generally kind of 15 minutes to ask questions about your own kind of business, that kind of thing. You can find it via Calendly, basically. But anyone on the course, go to the Get Started page, you'll be able to book in from there. Simon, as always, I appreciate your support. We will get you on in the future, and I'd love to talk about shy burns and the mental health stuff that you want to do, which I think is really good. My name's Steve. Hopefully I will see you next week, and any questions, just drop me a line. All right, cheers and have a good day.